Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Dave Peterson with TC Life Safety. Some of you remember that I did an Ask Dave video regarding the BackUp Buddy, which was the power over Ethernet device. As I explained at the time, it was new to us, new technology to us. So I thought it would be a great idea if we brought some guys from the factory down here to give us a little more explanation as far as applications, how far we could push this device, what kind of power we can see out of it, and so on. So John Dreyer, Curtis Nance are both here from the factory. BTU Research, they're located in both Houston, Texas, and in Florida. And I think I'll just pass the feather over to Curtis Nance.
Pass the feather. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Mr. Peterson. So indeed, BTU Research is based in Houston. John and I both work remotely. We both happen to live in Florida. I'm in the Tampa area. John's farther south. John is a networking expert as well as an IP video camera expert. That's his area of expertise. I've been in the low voltage life safety security space, as you know, for last long time. Yeah, the last couple of long times.
We won't mention years.
I'll tell him in a minute. In any event, thank you, Dave, for having us up. We really appreciate it. Dave made a video, and the response was such that we thought it a good idea to come up here and make a video to explain more applications about the product. What we're going to talk about today is a patented technology from BTU Research. It's an uninterruptible power over Ethernet supply. So in the traditional sense that we think of stationary power or plug-in UPSs, an uninterruptible power supply, those are plugging into 110 volt outlets. And what we have here is a device that is plugged into a 110 outlet, but it's delivering Ethernet level power. So we have an Ethernet level, an uninterruptible Ethernet level power supply. It's connected to a 4-port switch. This 4-port switch is unique in that it is powered from this POV injector. So this is a power over Ethernet IP video injector with a built-in uninterruptible power supply. It's currently powering a 4-port switch, and from this 4-port switch we're powering the camera that is recording this now, and we're powering this camera that you see here. You can see here on the display that this camera is being powered from this power source, which we just disconnected. So for those of you in the video world, we'll do it again because we know for sure that when we remove or restore power to a video surveillance camera, you're going to lose frames, you're going to lose images, you're certainly going to be able to see it on the display monitor.
Can we do that? Will you wave your hand over the camera? To show people?
Yeah, you can do that. So sure. So John, my able-bodied assistant, well now, he's going to restore and remove the power, the electrical current power, this power supply that's powering this camera. And as you'll see, there's no perceptible disruption. In fact, there's no disruption at all. You cannot.
So the AC power is back in. And now I'll unplug it. You can still see on the 4-port PoE switch, all the LED indicators are still on, and no pixelation on the monitor here of the laptop of the cameras.
None whatsoever.
It's picosecond.
So the power's off. There's a hurricane. There's a bad guy. There's a natural disaster. Somebody has intentionally interrupted the power as part of a terrorist attack. Whatever the situation may be, we know that when it comes to power, it is in many ways a single point of failure. So we've got very sophisticated camera analytics, intelligent locks, facial recognition, bioscans, some extremely sophisticated technology, none of which works without electricity. So as we talk for the next few minutes about the product and its application, there's a lot of tendency towards thinking about run times, and there's just a mental association with traditional plug-in battery uninterruptible or UPSs, plug-in battery UPSs. Typically those will give the user enough time to close down some computer programs, maybe power down some cameras, get critical information shut down safely is typically the application of those products. What we're talking about today is a technology, this weighs about
I would say about a pound and a half.
about a pound and a half.
Yes.
Smaller than a bread box. This particular device, depending upon the wattage draw, will power cameras or whatever it's connected to for an extended period. So that said, what we're doing here today for demonstrative purposes, we're using it for a camera. This device could power anything that seeks its power from the Ethernet, up to 240 watts. So what we're looking at here is a 60-watt version, an indoor rated version. We have a scalable platform up to 240 watts and an IP60 rated, IP68 outdoor rated version.
Right.
So whether it's an intelligent lock, a camera, a radio, an antenna, a wireless access point, with some other things,
Ingress, egress, emergency LED lighting.
emergency lighting,
Absolutely.
point of sale equipment,
POS,
is often Ethernet powered,
white phones.
VoIP phones.
What we'll see too is it doesn't necessarily have to be PoE powered. You could use our devices with a PoE splitter and actually split the data signal to one device and then up to 24 volts DC to a DC powered device, let's say an HVAC controller or a relay. So those are abilities that this equipment does have with it as well. It is set up for, obviously, as Curtis said, power Ethernet devices, Internet of Things, but that's not its only limitations. The limitations are only what you allow them to be.
This is a point of view, so again, to try to separate that mental association that we have with UPS or stationary power being provided at the head end, that's where the recorders, that's where the cameras, or that's where the equipment is maintained. Now that we're talking about IP video cameras, these are devices that function off of the internet. They're not typically housed inside a building. They may not be. They may be across town. We have smart city projects, safe city projects, where cameras are powered over the Ethernet, literally citywide, certainly commonly campus-wide or hospital-wide. The plug-in UPS is maintaining power at the recorder. It's not maintaining power at this Ethernet camera that may be across town or across the hospital or across campus.
Absolutely.
So one of the, we call it point of use. So this device is for use with a single camera, a single port POV injector is for a single camera, a single device. If I need to use more than one device, so I've got one pole with two cameras, then I could use this device, this switch, and now I can power multiple devices. In this case, a camera and a radio,
An access point, correct.
a wireless access point. If I'm only going to power one device, I just need one of this brownout buddy. If I'm going to power multiple devices, I'm going to need the brownout buddy and the 4-port switch.
Correct.
These are both for indoor rated applications, and we have an outdoor rated version that's up to 240 watts. The one we see here is 60 watts, indoor rated and an outdoor rated version. So with that said, Dave, what are the kind of common questions that your customers have presented so far about?
Well, a lot of the customers that I talk to want to know how many different devices or what types of devices there are out there that are now becoming powered over Ethernet. And we talked about cameras. One of the things we didn't mention about the camera that is taking this picture here is it has a built-in SD card in it. So that if for some reason the communications between that and the DVR break down, The backup buddy is going to keep that camera powered, and it's going to be recording video on its own little SD card, so that when communications are reestablished, you can dump all that information down into your DVR and not have lost anything. When I think about this technology, I think about the Boston Marathon bombing and how they were able to go around to cameras after the fact and get all the information and eventually catch the two characters that did it. How much better it would have been to have this kind of technology there, so that if the bombs had taken out the power in the area, we wouldn't have had that information. With this technology, we can.
Absolutely. And a lot of the manufacturers now, video surveillance products, are implementing within their MVRs a technology called ANR, Automatic Network Restore or Automatic Network Replenishment. And what that does is when the camera does re-establish communications with the NVR, it automatically pulls the stored video off the micro SD card on the camera and puts it back on the hard drive in sequential order. So there's no manual, there's absolutely no manual interference. Absolutely.
Dave and TC Life Safety, their core business comes from the fire life safety, where we enjoy a business that is code-driven.
Oh, absolutely.
Where video surveillance, there's less of a code requirement until now. Now that technology has caught up to a point that code can be leveraged for the user's benefit. I'll give you an example. From the south, I don't know if there's many of those facilities up here or not, but one of a really groundbreaking, if you'll allow me to continue the metaphor, is a cannabis production. It's regulated by the Department of Health. The production of cannabis for its medical use, the distribution, and the transportation to and from. So my education thus far, as I understand about that space, where the product is produced and dispensed must not share the same real estate. They must be separate facilities, and the product must be transported from production to dispensary. That's one example. Let's say, in the healthcare community, where a requirement called constant and redundant video surveillance for all three of those areas: production, transportation, and distribution of cannabis. When this camera is recording and storing at the camera, the NVR is recording and storing at the NVR. In the event of power outage, this camera is still going to continue to record and store at the camera. When the recorder power is restored, this is going to update that recorder. This meets constant and redundant video surveillance requirements. Outside the healthcare space, another market that's alive and well in South Florida is the gambling casino market.
Absolutely.
And theme parks. The theme parks, we'll think of maybe the world's most popular rodent in Central Florida. They have theme park properties, but they also have cruise ships. They want everyone to have a good experience while they're at the theme park, and it's really bad for business when they can't find people that are on a cruise ship. So the federal government has mandated something called a man overboard system. Again, these are things that weren't even in existence 10 years ago, let alone a code enforcement. A man overboard system is a set of safety, it's a safety feature, it's a set of beams that is actuated when a body, something meeting the body's dimensions, shape, and temperature, passes through a man overboard system. It actuates a thermal camera, making it easy to identify somebody who may have fallen off a cruise ship. Now this is a life safety product. This is no longer a security product. It just became a life safety product.
Right.
Constant and redundant video surveillance is a federal requirement for a man overboard system. This technology meets constant and redundant video surveillance. The man overboard, they're just not smart enough to know what's plugged into them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know. It's a camera, it's man overboard, it's anything that seeks its power from the Ethernet.
Right. And this also is good for those instances where you need mass notification systems, which is also code driven. This will keep those devices up and running. More and more manufacturers are now going to POV powered mass notification horns and microphones. We did have those at our booth at ASAS in Dallas to show that. So that's another good possibility that you guys can use these products for. These are products that can be used, as Curtis said, indoor. However, the switch is hardened. These devices can be put into a NEMA 4X enclosure, which means they do not need any external ventilation or cooling, or even any internal solid state cooling. There just needs to be some air movement and space within the NEMA 4X enclosure for the dual fans in this brownout buddy to circulate the air and to keep itself cool. The beautiful thing too is they come with DIN rail mount clips, as you can see here. So you can mount them horizontally on DIN rail mounts to take up less space in your NEMA enclosure. Let's say another instance is a gentleman says, why have a device that may be 100 meters away? Will the brownout buddy work? Yes, it will. It meets IEEE standards for any devices to be 100 meters away. Now the beautiful thing is you may say, well, my devices are more than 100 meters away. What do I do then? Well, you'll put the brownout buddy where your local AC power source is. You can run 100 meters of UTP cable to this 4-port PoE powered 4-port switch. And then from here you can go up to another 100 meters away for your end devices. So this can be put mid-span or end-span. That's the beautiful thing about this as well.
So basically, you're just going to maintain devices in continuum.
Absolutely.
Add devices, add battery backup at the point of use as needed.
Absolutely. It does have a 5th trunk port on it, just to let everybody know. There is 4 ATAF compliant PoE ports on it, but it does have a 5th trunk port that you can tie into another brownout buddy, for example, or our outdoor rated solid switch. And then that device will then take that signal, trunk it in, and then allow whatever device you have plugged in the new brownout buddy and a 4-port switch to continue on and be on the same network. So you can have multiples of these out there. A great benefit to this product that people may not realize is legacy and stationary power is truly a single point of failure. It happens before, and we've seen it, and I'm sad to say we're probably going to see it again in our time. When a terrorist attack comes or a robbery comes, what's the first thing they try to do? Disable power and communications. So when all you have is, let's say, stationary power and or a generator, that is your single point of failure. They take that out, all your communications are gone. All your cameras are out, access control, everything's gone. The use of these products now makes that very, very hard to accomplish, because you could have tens of these, hundreds of these, or even thousands of these throughout your facility. And they would have to take every one of them down simultaneously, okay, which is next to impossible unless you have a large EMP device, which nobody has. So that's another thing that this is excellent for, is to reduce your single points of failure. It eliminates that cause or that necessity.
So let me see if I got this straight. By adding the 4-point switches, first thing you're doing is you're taking one Ethernet line and you're breaking it out into 4.
Yes, sir.
You're also adding on or extending the reach of the brownout buddy by adding another 100 meters.
Yes, sir.
Can I take another switch, plug it into this switch, so that I can go from 4 to 7?
You're eventually going to deplete your wattage draw. So the answer is yes, but each time you expand
Every
the
device you
additional
have
port,
out there, obviously. it's
right?
gonna drop off.
So
Yep.
an additional port would indicate that you're going to introduce an additional device, which is going to pull additional wattage. But yes, some covert cameras that I have in my office are less than 2 watts. So those 2-watt cameras, you could in theory power 8.
Sure.
2-watt cameras. Very, very low wattage draw. They'll run for a long time off these. They need light. So as long as you're keeping your ratio from wattage draw to wattage available, yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, so it's very similar to the fire alarm world, where you have a 7 or a 10 amp hour battery powering a fire alarm system. You're not going to be able to put 60 or 70 horn strobes on it, because your backup power is just not going to be there.
Correct. And every one of these ports on the 4-port switch is auto-sensing, auto-negotiating, which means whatever device you have plugged into it, the wattage it needs to pull, the switch will give it up to 30 watts max per port. So if it only needs 2, it'll only give it 2, and it'll keep the remaining wattage spread across the other 3 or in reserve for the other 3 ports.
Gotcha.
They can plug in a 2 watt, a 4 watt, a 4 watt, a 10 watt, and a 12 watt. As long as I don't exceed 30 watts for one port, I can just continue to add devices as needed.
And the maximum wattage, PoE wattage of the.
60 watts we're using.
60 watts, yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
Now, in this particular instance, the Brown Buddy is a 60 watt device. This 4-port PoE powered device requires 5 watts of that 60 watts because it's PoE powered. It's not DC powered, it's not AC powered, it's only PoE powered. So it's meant to be used in conjunction with the Brown Buddy and our solid switch, which we'll be discussing in a little while. So it leaves you 55 ports spread across 4, or 55 watts, I'm sorry, spread across 4 ports.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that answered one of my questions.
Oh, excellent.
The other question I had was, what's this hardening you guys keep talking about?
Well, that's a good question, and I appreciate you asking that. And I touched on that briefly before, which when I mentioned that this can be put in an EMA 4X enclosure, it can. So it's hardened enough where it can be put out in elements with moisture and humidity or an EMA 4X, which is actually dust sealed as well. So even dust and moisture doesn't get in. So it can be out there in that type of enclosure. All it needs is airspace within that box for the air to circulate, to breathe, if you will, and it operates perfectly well. This 4-port switch is hardened as well. People have asked, can I put the Brown Buddy in an EMA enclosure and then run 80 to 100 meters away and put the 4-port switch, let's say, above a ceiling somewhere, drop to a ceiling in another building? Sure you can. There is a ground screw on it, so you want to definitely ground it, so you can help keep the same impedance if possible on the different both devices, because there's all sorts of ground screw. And then you can go ahead and put this out there as well. It doesn't necessarily need to be in an EMA enclosure. It is hard.
So everything in there is like conformal coated and...
Yes.
Okay.
Now, it is not IP67 or 68 rated, moisture proof.
Right.
Okay. The other IP68 version of solid switch is.
Gotcha.
So as we travel around the country discussing the technology, and obviously there's the devices of the low voltage systems are of new technology, as is ours. Often people will bring ideas to us that we hadn't even thought of. So with that said, TC Life Safety and Dave Peterson have done a terrific job of maintaining inventory, of educating themselves about the product. Drop shipping is needed. We as a manufacturer want you to use our product, and we want you to patronize the channel partner who is supporting us. I'd like to extend a 60-day unconditional money-back guarantee to any of you who view the video and would like to purchase the product specifically from TC Life Safety. You may do so and use the product in any environment and for any purpose that you like for up to 2 months. At the end of 60 days, pay for the device, keep the device, use it, enjoy its warranty. There's a 2-year warranty on the product. There's a 1-year warranty on the battery pack. At the end of 2 months, if the product has not met your expectations completely, please return it to Mr. Peterson for a full credit. I'll honor the same to Mr. Peterson. It's now the World Wide Web, so we both have to do it now.
Oh, boy.
I will say too, if I could, we have extended warranties that Curtis failed to mention. So it does have a 2-year warranty on the device and a 1-year warranty on the battery. But through TC Life Safety, your customers can purchase a 3, 4, or 5-year extended warranty through you. What that does is it extends, even though the battery is, let's say, only 1 year, it extends it to the 3, 4, or 5 year. So that includes batteries as well. So if anything happens with the device, let's say somebody buys the 5-year extended warranty, which is 3 additional years on top of the manufacturer's warranty, that covers battery as well. Now the battery goes from 1 year to a 5 year. So this device also goes from a 2-year to a 5-year.
Beautiful. So we'll have to update the website and make sure that's on there. But that's a gracious offer by Curtis and BTU to give that for 60 days. We'll handle returns just like we always do, with a smile. Give us a call, and we'll deal with it.
Absolutely.
We want you to use the product. Find its own application. If you're watching this and you're an integrator, you think you have an end user that may be interested or would benefit from this product, call Mr. Peterson, order one of the products, go take it to your customer. We appreciate feedback. So it's good for our business and product development as well. We didn't look at the outdoor rated, so this is the IP68 rated, the outdoor rated version. So this product, when you purchase this product, you'll see, can you turn it around this way?
Sure.
This way. This side of it.
That's right.
So when you purchase this product, you'll see this is the base unit, and it'll come with a cover that starts right here. You know, we hold the thing up, John. What you see here is the base product, the core product, with its extended power cover. So this product is a 350 watt hour battery pack. The cover has an additional 1, 2, 3 battery packs of 350 watt hours each. So you have a collective capture of 1400 watt hours and an IP68 outdoor rated enclosure for Ethernet level power.
So this one's a little bit unique in the fact where, as Curtis mentioned, this here, it doesn't matter what you plug into it, it doesn't know what's plugged into it. In networking terms, we call this a layer 2 device. It's just a physical wire-to-wire device. It has no programming into it other than that. This device is a little bit different. So this device, as Curtis said, can come with extended run cover with 1400 watt hours capacity. It does have 4 802.3 AF AT compliant ports. However, this comes in 2 flavors, 150 watt and a 240 watt PoE version. So it increases this 2.5 times or 4 times, depending on what version you get. It does have a 5th port over here, and that's an SFP cage, to where small form factor, they can plug in a GBIC, which is a module that can be either copper or fiber, and different fiber connectors, to actually for this trunk port. It is a quad SFP port, so you can put a quad dongle on it, which looks like a little octopus. It has 1 port that plugs in the quad, the SFP GBIC, and then has 4 dongles that you can plug up to 4 media types on. So that actually helps a lot for trunking and meshing and so forth. This one is also unique in the fact that it has a battery management system in it. Okay, it's got a web GUI interface, graphical user interface, that you can access through Internet Explorer on your laptop or PC. It does have IP address assigned to it. You can pull up the battery management system on your monitor and view the health of all the batteries that are plugged into it. So if you order it, as Curtis said, with just the base unit and 1 350 watt battery pack, that's what you're going to see when you pull up the BMS, the battery management system. It'll show you the health, it'll show you if it's off-grid power, it'll notify you when it's off-grid power and let you know, hey, we're on battery backup. It'll let you know how much each port is drawing off of that individual battery. If you add the battery extended cover and additional batteries, as soon as you plug them into the motherboard, and it is field configurable out in the field, installers can do this, it instantly senses that battery pack and puts it into service. So you would see on the battery management system, it'll show 350 watt hours. As soon as you plug another one in, it jumps up to 700, all the way up to 1400, and you complement it all the way up. Another beautiful thing about this device is it has a layer 3 light switch in it. So in essence, it is this Brown Up Buddy on steroids. It is this 4-port PoE switch, which was layer 2, but now it's layer 3 light, which means you can actually program a lot more of the switch features into it for networking. So they can have up to 4096 VLANs. It can do SNMP v3, which is more for encryption and cybersecurity, up to 256-bit encryption. So as far as that goes, it's just shy of layer 3 full, which means it has routing capability in it, in this version here. But it does have full capability of layer 2, and layer 3 light. So this is a unique.
You know what I mentioned earlier, it's good for us when people test our product and provide us feedback. This product that you see here was born of this product being provided a sample of it to the Department of Transportation. So the Department of Transportation, among other things, is in the recurring revenue business. They're called toll booths. You've got a lot of them in Massachusetts. When those toll booths, no, toll booths
They ripped them
are.
out. They ripped them out. They're all electronic now.
You mean those sensors are Ethernet powered, Dave?
It could be.
They are.
Yeah.
They are. So today in traffic, we call them sun passes in Florida. You probably call them snow passes in Massachusetts. I'm not sure. We have readers that sense our scanners for toll booths. the cameras that take a picture of your license plate to mail you a ticket, all of those things are Ethernet powered. None of them work without the electricity. And what the Department of Transportation learned is that when we put it in an IP68 outdoor rated version, the toll booths still work just fine. So they're still gonna. What I'm saying is we've kept a recurring revenue stream. So if you're in a business,
So it's you guys to blame every time I get a bill from.
every time
Yes, sir.
Dave doesn't have a roll of quarters.
That would do
So
it.
there again, we grew up using payphones, we grew up dropping quarters in toll booths.
Gone.
Yeah,
It's
those
gone.
days are gone.
It's all gone to the Ethernet, and this isn't Ethernet, it's the power supply that of Ethernet.
And this one here, like I mentioned, is IP68 rated. It does not need a NEMA 4X enclosure or any other type of enclosure. It can be mounted flush to a building, or you can buy an optional pole mount kit.
Oh, sweet.
Yes, so you can mount this on a pole, or for those individuals that deer hunt around a tree and have multiple, instead of trail cams, they'll use this.
But in the recurring revenue space, for those of you who extend service agreements or maintenance contracts to your customers, if there's a momentary power interruption, you may well have to dispatch a service truck. When you get there, you're just going to power down a switch and power it back up. You're going to power down a camera and power it back up. The only reason that you had to go there is because there was a temporary power interruption. That's it. You're not going to be able to bill that customer because it's under a service agreement. The cost of this device would pay for one service agreement that you didn't have to go to
Still holding on to it.
to unpower and repower a camera. It's constantly powered. It's never without power. So those in the recurring revenue business, this is a great product to make your contracts more profitable. It's not going to help you to sell more contracts. It's going to help you to maintain a more profitable contract.
Less truck rolls. That's where you lose your money, is every time you roll a truck
Oh,
on a certain
less
speed.
gas, less insurance, less
Sure.
Yes, sir.
disaster.
Absolutely.
I hope this has been a good use of your time, Dave.
Absolutely,
absolutely.
absolutely. Having you guys come out here and talk to us about the different applications, whether it's the man overboard systems or just learning more about the CCTV applications has been great. I hope this has been good for you. I hope this kind of information is the kind of information you want to see. Give us a call, 800-837-8175, and let me know. Make a note on Facebook or Google Plus or however you like to communicate. Let us know what you think about these kind of videos and if you'd like to see more. I'm Dave Peterson from TC Life Safety with Curtis Vance, John Dry from BTU Research, saying good night and have a life safety day.
Thank you very much.